Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Fullest podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Bostwick, and I'm here today with Drew Todd, who is the co-founder of Feals. Hi.
Hey, Nikki. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining me today on a Sunday. I love doing it on the weekends because it's just like, I think during the week, there's just so much hustle and bustle and trying to get things done that it's nice to connect with people on our time off to really get to know each other. And so I appreciate you taking the time.
100%. Yeah, happy to be here.
So yeah, I love Feals. We've been working with you guys for a little while now. And I was introduced to the brand last year, a little over a year ago. So when did you guys launch exactly?
So we launched Feals in early 2019. So we're about 18 months old now. We launched in March of last year. And it's been a really exciting journey, I think, in the past year and a half or so, in both, internally with our business, but also externally, really seeing this cannabis and particularly the CBD industry really start blossoming.
So we chatted for a little bit before we got started, but you went to college at Boulder. So where did you grow up? Did you grow up there?
I did. I grew up in Boulder, Colorado. For people that are unfamiliar with Boulder, I would describe it as one of the granola capitals of the country. Really, really happy times in my childhood, but then transitioned out here to Los Angeles about 11 years ago, right after college, and took kind of like a non-traditional path into where we are today. I actually cut my teeth in entertainment, started out at DreamWorks Animation and then Universal Pictures, working in feature production before transitioning into the agency world and then ad tech, and then finally landing in wellness within the last few years.
Would you say the LA lifestyle is what brought you to wellness?
I would say that burnout from the LA lifestyle is 100% what brought me into wellness. I think that my personal intersection with mental health issues and challenges and just the overwhelming stress and anxiety of this bustling city really intersected me with the industry that now we're a part of.
Growing up in Boulder, was your family really into the wellness lifestyle? I mean, I'm assuming you were outdoors all the time and that probably helped. Like, did you have any of those, anxious feelings or anything like that when you were growing up? Or was it just really just a byproduct of your career?
I think that wellness is part built into the lifestyle when you grow up in Boulder. So much of your time is spent in the outdoors, and it's just a different approach to life than oftentimes we see in the city. And I think for me, while a healthy lifestyle was absolutely a part of my childhood, what really drove me into wellness and really wanting to make a difference and help people feel better is that I grew up and my mom suffered from a neurological disorder. The majority of my life, she suffers from dystonia and chronic fatigue syndrome. And so it's a condition without a cure. And so I think that really instilled this idea of, wanting to help people and, from a very early age, wanting her to feel better and feeling, somewhat, unable to do so. So I think that for me is one of kind of my core drivers, behind my mission of our company's mission of helping people feel better, because I think that it's deeply rooted in, just my childhood in general.
Yeah. I'm curious how the endocannabinoid system works with something like that with chronic fatigue. I'm assuming it's really helpful. So I want to get into that too and how that's helped your family. But how did you end up finding your partners and making that connection? Did you know each other from your career previous to launching, or how did that come to be?
Yeah. So my co-founders, Alex and Eric, and I were fortunate to build an ad tech company together prior to Feals. Both of them actually co-founded the business in 2013. And I was one of the early employees to join the team. It was this rocket ship growth company in kind of the early years of ad tech. And we really got to know each other well in the trenches of growing, this kind of fast, bustling, growing startup lifestyle. And so I think that when we got to the completion of that journey, we had learned a lot of things. We had broken some things, and I think that we grew up quite a bit. But none of us really had this feeling of fulfillment. And I think that is really what was one of the underlying drivers to the creation of Feals, is that we really wanted to make a bigger impact. And I think that while we learned how to sell physical products online in our previous lives, we weren't really changing people's lives. And I think that for us was kind of the number one underlying mission in starting anything new. It was kind of, okay, what can we do, and where do we see opportunity in being able to make an impact in as many people's lives as we possibly can.
Coop Home Goods is on a mission to give you your best sleep experience through sleep products that are designed around you. Their original pillow is adjustable, the most reviewed pillow on Amazon, and the only pillow that adjusts to your loft height. Beloved by chiropractors and humans alike, the Coop pillow is soft where you need it to be and firm where you need it to be. For 15% off your Coop order, use code THEFULLEST at checkout. How did you do a deep dive in the cannabis industry? Because it's so complicated. There's a lot of just compliance issues. There's so much that you have to understand before. It's kind of like I studied business in college, and I always joked that after I studied just entrepreneurship, and then everyone's like, okay, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, I don't have a clue anything about the business. It's so general, my education. So then you kind of have to go in and do a deep dive into what you actually want to do and educate yourself on that. So I'm curious how long that process was, or if you personally were using it enough where you had this curiosity and understood it in some regard.
So CBD has been a relatively commonplace product in the Boulder community for the better part of the last decade. It always really felt holistic and cannabis-y anytime that it was seen on a shelf at either my parents' houses or, it talked about in general. And when Alex, my co-founder, actually reached out to me to get the gang back together again in late 2017, he had been taking CBD and had just had a dramatic shift in his overall well-being. And he brought me and Eric to the table and said, look, guys, this is a real opportunity. And I think that we have to remember that this industry is so new. At the time, it was federally illegal. And there was what we would describe now as kind of this citizen science. There were all these people really claiming incredible benefit from this compound. But there was really, no federal support. And it was a very gray and murky time for the industry. And so we spent a lot of time in early 2018 really looking at the opportunity. And what we decided was that we didn't know really the efficacy and if this product was going to work or not at scale. And so we decided to launch a proof of concept company in early 2018 and sell as many CBD products to the market as we possibly could to really understand, the difference between a tincture and a gel cap and the different nuances between a full spectrum tincture versus an isolate tincture, and really what resonated with our customers. So before we ever had the foundation for Feals, we were afforded the luxury of getting product in the market and then getting on the phone and talking with these customers and really understanding what was working and what wasn't. And that really helped steer the ship when we launched Feals in early 2019.
That's so smart. How did you meet these customers? Was it predominant? I mean, if it was illegal, was it illegal at the time when you had started doing that?
It was still I would describe it as gray area. There were definitely large companies that had pioneered the space. You had players like Medterra and Charlotte's Web that had been
Yeah.
in the industry for a long time and were selling online. And so we just decided this was something that we felt really compelled to do, and that it was a category that we really believed that there was going to be movement in Washington, D.C. We didn't anticipate that the Farm Bill would pass as quickly as it did.
Yeah.
But we recognized that we needed to get traction and learning before that happened. So I think that our aha moments really in July and August of 2018 was we became the first partner of Pinterest in the CBD category to be able to do paid advertising. And
Wow.
what that allowed us to do was drive more than 1 million people to this proof of concept brand over the course of 60 days and sell products on the website. My co-founder, Eric, 100% is to credit for making that magic happen. And really that for us was this moment of, wow, there is really something here. And the power of this product and the efficacy behind what we're looking to build, there's something tangible.
That's huge that Pinterest was open to doing that, first off. And it's so brilliant that you guys did that on Pinterest. I was just actually talking to my CMO, and she was telling me, she just came onto our team, and she was telling me she's seen so many brands build themselves off Pinterest and no one thinks about it. But there's so many people that are looking for content on Pinterest. That's really, really smart. I love that you guys did that. So you guys had a few different products on there essentially that you were driving people to your own website to buy.
Exactly. So we had built the proof of concept website was a weekend project that Eric whipped up really quickly for us. And so we had a website that was able to sell products. And then, with that many people being presented, the different tinctures, we were really able to identify, what products were working and hone in on our very simple product offering when we launched Feals.
Was it called Feals, or it was just?
It wasn't. We used a different brand name. The interesting piece about that, as we were gathering that data and we had the aha moment, we partnered with an incredibly talented branding agency, Herman Shear, here in Venice, California, to help us really develop and create the Feals brand. I would say that the heart of the company comes from listening to customer service calls between Alex, my co-founder, and our customers early on in the proof of concept stage. We would have brainstorming meetings with the branding agency, and they would listen in to how we were interacting with our customers. And I think that really helped develop the heart of the brand of being this human, approachable, really friendly brand that we stand by customer service and really making direct to consumer more human and personal.
Yeah. So you would have a bunch of people calling in. I mean, I guess they probably just had so many questions because it's so new.
Yeah. At the time, customer experience was actually our first department that we hired in. And at that time, the calls were just going directly through to Alex's cell phone. So it would be, he would be taking pauses throughout the day to answer these calls. And he, really, I think, led the way with empathy and really showed, what a white glove customer experience treatment is all about.
Yeah. So were you guys making these products or kind of sourcing them and selling? Essentially, it was like wholesale.
Early on, we had labeled them under a brand, and we had supply chain partners that were providing the products. So we, from the beginning, have been incredibly scrupulous with our process and have always really believed in this less is more philosophy. At the time when we were developing these formulas, even when in the proof of concept, those formulas are the same today that we're selling with Feals. They've skewed a little stronger because we found that higher strength tinctures really provide the efficacious results, and people really start feeling the benefits in higher doses. But at the time, we took a lot of time going through sourcing the right partners to make sure that we had a very clean label.
I love using my tincture. And when I'm like on my monthly cycle, I will just take like an absurd amount and it just totally helps with all my pain. I've completely taken like Advil and all those pain medicines out of my medicine drawer. I mean, I don't know what kind of like claim, I'm not trying to make any claim or like put this on Feals, but that's my personal experience. And it is truly probably the most powerful CBD product that I've ever tried. And it's really interesting because I feel like I'm always sent so many products and I try everything, but tinctures just happen to be like the best for me. I feel like, I don't know, like just, I don't know if you guys are going to launch more products, but I think it's really interesting how you launched with that because I think especially in today's world, we talk about like the gut microbiome and just overall, like when you try and digest a capsule, it's like completely different for each person. But when you have a tincture, it just makes a lot of sense that it would be just like easier to gauge across the board for most people. So I'm curious if like that's why you ended up choosing that or like what your findings were.
Yeah, when we were really formulating the next steps and transition from the proof of concept into Feals, we wanted to take a very thoughtful approach. And part of that, I think, is due to the industry being as young and new as it is, and education playing such an important role. I think that we recognized that there were a lot of players in the market selling a lot of products, but when you have a conversation with someone about CBD, they don't know the difference between an isolate or a full spectrum product. They don't know the difference between the different strengths or how many milligrams are in the bottle. And so we found that to be very problematic when introducing a new brand. And so really one of our focus points was simplifying a challenging category for the mass market. And I think that it's something that we really strive to do in our messaging, in our packaging, and our product presentation. One of the thoughtful products that came out of that was the Flight, which we recognized all CBD affects people differently. And people traditionally, if they're new to the category, don't understand how much they need before they're going to start feeling a benefit. So we really focused on providing, a low cost opportunity for people to get into the category and try a few different strengths of CBD to really understand if the product is right for them.
Makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like how Warby Parker and originally would send like several pairs for people to try on before they committed. And so I think that really applied really well with what you guys are doing. So are those are still your current products, right? The 3 different strengths?
Exactly. So we've taken a very less is more approach and focused more on the customer experience and helping guide people to finding relief from the issues that they're looking to solve. And so we're focusing really on 3 tincture strengths, really from low to very high strength. And so we sell this on a subscription basis, as well as the sample pack that I mentioned before.
Which one do you take?
So I am a daily CBD user, and I actually vary the amount of CBD I take dependent on the time of day and what I'm looking to use it for. So in the mornings, I'm a big Dave Asprey fan in terms of bulletproof coffees. And so I whip up a bulletproof coffee and replace the MCT oil with Feals. So that ends up being roughly about 60 milligrams of CBD and cannabinoids in my morning coffee, which I find really gets rid of the morning like caffeine jitters and just helps me really drop into flow and tackle the day ahead. And then I find that a higher dose, I've got a bottle of our highest strength, 2,400 milligram on my bedside table, and take a dropper full of that, which is roughly about 120 milligrams, 20 minutes before bed, and typically sleep, and fall asleep in the same, wake up, I guess, the next day in the same position that I fell asleep in. It's just a very, very restful sleep.
Is it something that so you say you're a daily user, so it's not something that you have to take a break from?
We're very large advocates of building this into a habitual lifestyle. It's really, I think that the easiest way to think of it is, unlike traditional pharmacology, which is typically used to treat specific ailments, CBD can generally be used more broadly to contribute to like a better state of physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And really, it's this idea of like preventative health versus like reactive health. And so when you're building that into a daily wellness lifestyle, you're really taking care of yourself before any of these ailments can potentially become larger issues down the road.
Yeah, that makes sense. So are you guys shipping across all states, or did you have to like figure out how, was it like only California when you launched? What are the rules around that?
So it's an ever changing and ever moving legal landscape. We are very mindful of state limitations when there are limitations. At this point, under federal law, CBD is considered legal in all 50 states, but various states and even jurisdictions have differing compliance issues with CBD. So we're very mindful when shipping nationally, but overall, we do ship to all 50 states.
That's awesome. How do you see the Feals like product line changing as you guys grow? Like, do you think that you're still going to focus on just the different strengths and continue with tinctures, or do you see your customers wanting different forms?
That's a great question. We're incredibly mindful of what our customers' needs are. And I think that has led to great success so far in really listening to, what was working, what wasn't during our proof of concept stage. And so that's something as we look towards product innovation and product line expansion that we're being very mindful of. As a category in general, we really believe that we're in the early innings of adoption. And I say that in that the cannabis plant alone has so many additional cannabinoids that have yet to be unpacked. I think partly due to the federal regulation up until 2018, a lot of the science and research into the benefits of these other cannabinoids really have yet to be discovered. And I think that is something that excites us more than anything. It's a fine line in terms of what we are able to claim our product does and the benefits that we are seeing by the thousands with the customers that we're serving. And so as we take these next steps and the brand continues to mature, our number one focus is providing efficacious products to the consumer. And really, it makes me happy that our product, you're feeling our product so much more than other options in the market. And that's something that will continue to stand by with each new product introduction.
Hi everyone, I want to take a moment to chat about CBD with you really quick. Do any of you deal with stress, anxiety, chronic pain, or have trouble sleeping at least once a week? You're not alone. Many of us do. In fact, I personally deal with chronic pain when I'm on my period, and the combination of saffron and CBD has been a total game changer for me. I was searching for a legit ingestible CBD product. Then I discovered Feals. Feals is a premium CBD membership brand that delivers directly to your doorstep. What I love most about Feals is their potent dose of CBD and the fact that they offer it in 3 different strengths. It naturally helps reduce anxiety, pain, and sleep issues. And as a new mom, those are 3 areas I definitely wanted to focus on. I don't take acetaminophen or ibuprofen, so taking a high-dose CBD product like Feals is an important part of my pain protocol. I love that it's easy to take. I just place a few drops under my tongue and feel a difference within minutes. Their droppers even have lines on them so you can identify your proper dose, because everyone's dose is different. They also provide real human support by offering a free CBD hotline to help guide your personal experience. And the best part about it is the fact that it's only 2 ingredients: organic coconut MCT oil and domestic hemp cannabinoid extract. Since we started working together, I've consistently been taking Feals and totally noticed the difference. Become a member today by going to feals.com/thefullest and you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. That's feals.com/thefullest to become a member and get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. Sign up and let me know how it helps you. I'm so curious how Feals helps you feel your best. feals.com/thefullest.
When you first joined, or like as you continue to grow the brand, do you feel like super overwhelmed with the amount of compliance that goes into it and the fact that you like can't make many claims at all, even though you know that there's research after research paper that shows how beneficial it is? I'm so curious. I think it gets frustrating how like big pharma can make so many claims over just a TV ad to directly to the consumer, but how censored it is for a company like yours.
Yeah, I think that it's challenging in many ways, but I think that what we stand for and stand by is we really believe in our product. And I think that that is really what the strength of the business really is. You know, I believe that the brand elevates product, but without an incredible product underlying a brand, you really don't have anything that will continue to grow and flourish. And so for us, we've put such focus on really providing the highest quality cannabinoids to the consumer. And I think that, you know, what a lot of people don't understand is that, you know, not all CBD is created equal. And oftentimes there will be many companies and, you know, competitors that are making these larger claims. For us, you know, we really just want to focus on, you know, letting the product sell itself, getting Feals in as many people's hands as we possibly can, and letting them make the decision for themselves if, you know, it really is working or not.
Obviously, you guys have a lot of experience, like you mentioned, having grown your last company in the ad tech space. So it makes sense that you guys decided to go the like direct to consumer route. But do you see yourselves ever like shifting that model, or have you partnered with any like boutique or large retailers? Are they taking on CBD brands? I'm curious. I never like maybe like an elevated or high-end retailer, I would say, just because of like the type of brand that you are. And I'm also curious, this is I guess a two-part question, like what the growth was like during COVID, when like many people may have gotten their CBD products from somewhere like Erewhon even, or just like, you know, walking into their doctor's office or their chiropractor or something, and then having COVID happen. Like, did you see an increase in sales because of that?
Great question. Since its inception, you know, Feals has been a digital first wellness brand. We really believe in the power of direct to consumer because of the education component and being able to layer that on. We really believe that if we go broad in retail at this point, it's a disservice to many customers because there are so many nuances and education factors that really need to be instilled before someone can make an educated decision. So we see the largest opportunity in front of us really playing in that digital wellness space. In the past year, we've had 2 test partnerships, one in San Francisco and one in New York, with Show Fields and Restore, where we really wanted to understand how the brand, you know, how people experienced Feals in real life. And so we focused much more on brand marketing activations than really, you know, wholesale retail channels. I think that there is going to be an opportunity for the company and brand to expand and become much more omni-channel. For us, you know, I think that a lot of that starts with the consumer and just education in general of cannabinoids and CBD. The second part of your question, you know, in terms of, you know, where we are in the pandemic and what we've seen an incremental increase in our membership ever since the beginning of the pandemic. I think that we were very uniquely positioned with this digital first approach, that our team was ready and we were able to show up and help people dealing with the stresses and anxieties where they were. And so I think that for me, it's been a really incredible journey just to see, the impact that we're able to make in these people's lives when, they really need our product and need Feals the most.
Yeah, that makes sense. When I asked you that question, I didn't even think about the like mental health aspect of the product. There are just so many benefits, right? There's like anti-inflammatory and so many things, and just people who are in pain in general. Not that your product addresses pain or anything, but yeah, but I didn't even think about how you just need that sense of calm and clarity during such an interesting time that none of us have ever gone through, and none of our grandparents even. So yeah, it's really interesting. But I've talked to several brands that, as direct to consumer brands, ended up seeing a spike in their numbers and just what that felt like for them. It's interesting, right? Because as certain businesses are just like becoming obsolete, you have, I don't know, it's an interesting place to be in, right? When your company is thriving, but then you also know that you're helping people. So it's just interesting dichotomy.
Absolutely. Yeah, we really believe that mental health is the unspoken pandemic. And it is an issue that is very close to our entire team's hearts. We're incredibly excited to be leaning even deeper into supporting that issue and showing up in the community and in various ways where we can really, bring visibility and support to an issue that we think is afflicting, the majority of Americans right now.
It makes sense too with the brand name, right? Where did that come from? Did you guys brainstorm together, or like, I'm assuming the name really has to do with like a feel good aspect, right?
So few people know this, but Feals is actually a portmanteau. And what a portmanteau is a combination of two words. So smoke and fog is smog.
Oh yeah.
Feals is a portmanteau of feels or feel and heals.
Oh, I love that. So where where do you see the industry growing? How we talked about this a little bit with the activations, and I'm curious, like, just over the next few years as you guys start to launch more products, just how you see the industry growing. Like you mentioned, there's so many different components to the cannabis plant in general. So I'm really intrigued by what you mean and what that means for Feals in general.
Absolutely. It seems like every day there's a new CBD brand coming into market. So we're mindful that it's becoming an incredibly crowded space. I think that the future of the category in general is dependent on consumer education and people understanding the effects of different products and whether they work or not. I think that we're going to see some consolidation in the next few years as the consumer becomes more educated and understands how to properly consume a cannabinoid-based product to really help with whatever personal ailment or problem they're really looking to cure or assist. And where we really want to be playing is that intersection between helping people feel better in a smart, more deliberate way. And so using data and using the digital experience to help enable people and guide people towards the right path and track and product that's going to help their lives and hopefully inspire happier lives overall.
And how do you see yourself connecting with more customers at this point? Like, I know because of the issue with just like different platforms, digital platforms, not allowing any like Facebook ads or any sort of, I mean, I don't know if you're not allowed any, but the compliance is really intense. So I'm curious, like when you first launched your before Feals, like the prototype, you were working with Pinterest at the time. I'm curious how, like, if you're still able to work with those different platforms to connect with your customers, or if you just like continue to get really creative and connect with them in different ways. I'm really, really inspired by CBD brands and how they connect with their customers because it's challenging.
I would say it's a combination of the two. Our previous lives helped us immensely with relationships with publishers. So carrying those over into this new category has helped open doors where I think there would have been roadblocks in front of us had we not, had that previous experience. But a lot of it comes down to being innovative and creative. And I think that it's one of the aspects that our team does such an incredible job at. My co-founder, Eric, at one point was really, kind of the brains behind the entire acquisition team as a team of one, and managed to grow the business incredibly well, using a lot of out-of-box ideas and approaches to getting Feals in front of people. I think for us, word of mouth and friends and family is an incredibly large channel. And I think a lot of that comes down to the efficacy of the product. That when you find that, you find a product that works for you, is typically something that you want to share with others. And so that's something that we are continuing to really leverage as well as we look to grow and reach additional audiences.
I totally agree with you. Feals definitely works. It's super powerful. And I've said that to so many people after my experience, after my husband's experience. And so I think you're right. Like it really comes down to your personal experience and word of mouth. I think that's the best way of finding out about products. And it's the most fun when you hear someone's personal experience because they're passionate about it and they just want to share it. So I think that's great that you guys know that. And I'm excited to see how the brand continues to share that message.